I sent everybody this morning this outline of the 4 phases of the work. So the first phase is complete this week, and some of the items in this phase that are completed or significantly begun are actually ahead of schedule. And so I'll go over what's been done in phase 1. And you can see it's pretty significant. The phase 2 deadline is mid-December. Phase 3 deadline is mid-February, and the phase 4 deadline for reports in the public website is tentatively set for the beginning of April. So what I'm going to do is go through these different points and show you on the QREST website what they look like. So one of the ways that we want to make QREST as user-friendly as possible is make it look familiar in terms of navigating the system. So similar to TICE, similar to TurboQuap, similar to a lot of software, we have a navigation tree here on the left, and then each of these items opens up into sub-menu items. And then we have the breadcrumbs on the top, which I really like, because then you can go backward and you can always get back to home by clicking this home button. So this panel on the left, because I'm logged in as an administrator, shows the administrator menu. For a user who doesn't have admin rights, that wouldn't appear. Of course, right now, we are just testing this, and so people can request access and request access as a read-only user, as a user, or as an admin person. So what we've got here on the screen is a map, and it is scalable, and right now it shows Flagstaff as our monitoring location. Over here would be the snapshot of, and this is not real data right now, the snapshot of the last 24 hours of data with information showing the last polling time, the last time the data logger was polled, the last time there was any QC entered, the last time there was an AQS review, and the last time there was data submitted to AQS. Also along the top are notifications. So I've already read my notifications, but what's nice is that these are all clickable. So if I see, oh, there's a notification, what is it? Oh, I see Mark Daniels, who, by the way, is a really fantastic addition to ITEP. And he works mostly for the VW program, but he's kind of a data head. So I'm really lucky that he has agreed to help us with this project. He does his own programming in Python, and we need people like you. So he requested access, and that was in the notification, so I can click on that. The last time the data was polled, my air sites, and that takes us to the one air site that we've established. And then my monitors, if we wanted to click on that and look at my monitors and what's set up for them. Also, I want to emphasize that if you guys have questions or the screen isn't refreshing, just tell me stop, because this whole project is for you and to make a tool that's useful for you and that's understandable, easily understandable. So be sure to interrupt me if you have any questions at all. So I'm going to take you first to the part that is the most exciting for me, which is the air data. So I was kind of worried because, of course, as you guys know, I am just like a theoretical data person. I don't know about the actual instrumentation. So I was worried about our connectivity to a data logger and how easy that would be. Fortunately, we have been working with the Confederated Tribes of Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Sisla Indians site, CTCLUSI, and that data is coming in. So the way you view raw data, Doug has set it up in a pretty cool fashion here. You can select an interval of dates, and you can also specify the times that you want to look at the data from your particular site. Click apply and then go. Ta-da! This was super exciting. So you can see there's 2 parameters coming in from the CTCLUSI site so far, just wind direction and wind speed. And the data logger produces 5-minute intervals of data. So what is actually pulled is the smaller interval of data, and you can see it goes backwards down, so 745, 740, etc. And then no matter what interval, sub-interval of an hour your data logger is producing data in, QREST calculates the hourly values. So you can select the hourly values, or what we're calling the n-minute data, depending on if it's 1 minute or 5 minute, etc. So I just wanted to show you the most exciting thing first, which is that we're actually able to connect to a data logger and pull their data. So just going back and kind of giving you an overview, I'm going to go back home. So we've got agency here, and we have one organization set up right now. This is all just test, so we're calling it the ITEP organization. You can edit, and when you edit, panels open up. You could see that we have Big Melinda and Little Melinda, Chris and Mark Daniels, who are members of the ITEP organization. We can add users. We have a lot of people who have logged in, and let's add Daryl Wallach, but we better make him a read-only user. So now we've added Daryl Wallach, and one of the many things that are part of this system is that if you try to leave a page without saving the information, it gives you a warning, and every time it flashed pretty quickly, but when we added Daryl, it gave a message up here saying that a record was changed, and I really like that feature. So we've got sites. So right now we have the Flagstaff North site, and if we click Edit, it opens up a panel that lets us specify information about the site. Very importantly, the AQS site ID, which of course is mock at this point, but all the information that you would expect to have specifying your site. And then, and this is really the best over here, so site monitors, you can add, and most people monitor for more than one parameter. Even if it's just met, it's generally at least 3 parameters. And so you can add monitors here. A feature that I really like a lot is the ability to import monitors from AQS. So when Angelique or me or Mike King, we're helping people get their data in AQS, the first thing we do is go into AQS and see what is set up, because it's useless for us to try to import data into AQS for different parameter codes than AQS is expecting. So to make it easy for you guys, and similar to how Angelique has programmed the Tribal Data Toolbox, you can import the information that AQS has, and that way when QREST formats your data and uploads it into AQS, AQS will actually accept it. So that is a feature that it is possible right now. And when you add site monitors, you can click this Add button, and it opens up a panel. And this pulls from, let's say I'm monitoring for ozone, but I don't know all my codes. So you type this in, and it pulls up the AQS codes table, where it provides all the different methods that monitor for ozone. So you find your method, and then you select it, and then that combination of codes, and then of course you say POC1, etc. For the criteria pollutants, we provide the most common units. So for ozone, that's parts per billion or parts per million. I'm just going to add this to show you guys how it works. And for the duration, this is for the reporting to AQS duration, and the collection frequency is not that important for hourly data. So now if I click back to site list, it's going to say, are you really want to leave this? I'm going to say stay here and save. And then, and you see now this nice thing says, okay, you've added a record. And then, this is really cool, this panel opens up. Now that I've said I've got data coming in, there are 3 different kinds of alerts. And these alerts, once triggered by your data, can send you an email or a text or both. So the first kind is just the range. So your data is coming in and you know that it should not be, let's change this to parts per million to make a little bit more sense. So we know that we don't want our data to come in outside this range. Actually, what am I doing? Parts per billion. Between -4 and 500 parts per billion is okay, but if it's outside that range, we want to get an alert. And then this amount change, this is for from 1 hourly period to the next. And we have defaults in here, and these are the same defaults as are in the Tribal Data Toolbox, which is basically 3 times the method detection limit. But you guys can change these, and you can change these depending upon the season, the time of year, what's going on. If a 1 hour to the next changes by more than 12 parts per billion in this case, you would get a text alert. And then stuck values, right now we have it set up so that, of course, ITEP is the overall admin, but each tribal agency will have their own admin. So you, as a tribal agency admin person, can add new users, can give people different rights to different components of the software. One of the things that I really like a lot is in the admin, this is going to help us at the TAM Center help you more efficiently, is our ability to import reference data. So for the Tribal Data Toolbox, for TurboQuap, for TICE, EPA changes tables, EPA changes recommendations, EPA adds new FEM methods, and it's difficult for us to make sure to get that information and those options out to you guys as quickly as possible. Of course, if you're using Tribal Data Toolbox, that's an installation on your computer. So we'd have to go into your computer and import the new tables. For TICE, we have to issue a whole new version of TICE. And with Tribal Data, with TurboQuap, we also have to issue a whole new version of it. And that's difficult working with the contractor to get that done and get that out to you. But with QREST, we're building in our ability to update the software in the cloud as soon as I get the RSS feed from EPA's AQS saying that there's a new code for different parameters for all these combinations, then I can update this software based upon the up-to-the-minute EPA recommendations and requirements. So we're really excited about that. All of these here, I encourage you to go in and fool around with them. We've got, the things that are needed in order to make what's in here work. So we've got email templates. We will have report templates. One of the things that I think we will be using quite a bit is the ability just with one click to be able to export data. This is the information that you have, like the protocol code combinations for your site and your monitor, and also data will be here, and the ability just with one click or 2 clicks to just export the data from QREST immediately into an Excel table. And that will be really useful because, of course, no matter what, we still are stuck with Excel for some of the things that we have to do. So we've got reports planned here, and similar to AirVision and Trex and Tribal Data Toolbox, we'll have template reports, so a template QC report, for example. But this is just the skeleton now of what we have. I'm really excited about the ability to reach a data logger. So our phase 1 is complete this week, and our next phase, I'm going to pull this over to show you guys. Our next phase, which Doug will be working on over the next 2 or month and a half, we're going to incorporate another data logger, and I have high hopes for connecting to Emma's data logger, including polling data at 1 minute, 1 minute data at 15-minute polling intervals. One of the things that is really useful for people when you review your data is all the supporting information that comes out in your file. And a lot of data loggers are connected to more than one sensor, often more than one pollutant. Doug and I were looking at a file the other day that had 35 columns, and of course you've got the actual parameters, but then for each parameter you've got supporting information like the flow rate or the temperature just of that probe. And we don't want tribes to lose that information because it's really useful in diagnosing problems and then supporting the validity of your parameter data. So one of the things that's going to be added in the next phase is the feature for being able to store that supporting data. So it won't just be time, date, concentration, but the information that you guys want to be stored to support the validity of your data is going to be stored. While right now this dashboard, this is not real data, the next phase calls for actually having this reflect whatever agency you're logged into, this will reflect the last 24 hours of data. And then this is something that I'm probably way more enthusiastic about than anybody else. But the level 0 review where you've got the automatic flagging, and again, this is not invalidation, but it's just helping you identify strange things in your data. Run charts. So, obviously we all want to see our data in a chart because it's so much easier to notice weird things in a chart. And we are going to try to set it up so that it's kind of similar to the way Trex does it now. So you can zoom in and you have different colors, and Tribal Data Toolbox does this too, where if you've got data that's flagged, it's flagged by color so you can identify it in your graph. And then if you guys are familiar with Trex, at the bottom there's a panel that shows you the information about the particular point your cursor is at. And that's really useful because sometimes you're looking at a lot of data, but you want to just see where was that one point where I was getting ready to do that QC check or whatever. And it shows you all the information about that one point that you're looking at. A notes field. So as you go through and you use QREST, you can type in notes, and every note will be associated with a date time start of data and the parameter, and date time end of that parameters of data, so that if you're doing something or you have a question or there was a control burn or something like that, you can add notes that are associated with sets of data and then allow you to go back and remember why you flagged that. And then also this, I really hope that this can get done because this would be so useful to be able to upload documents. So you can have all the information that you need, and say if you wanted a second party reviewer to review your data before you submit it to AQS or before you certify it annually, the supporting information, even like scanned logbook pages or QC sheets that were handwritten, you can just scan them and upload them, and they also would be associated with a particular set of data. So that is all the work that is planned now for the next phase. And then the third phase, the QC results. So right now, we have the feature quality control, and we have one agency here. But say we were uploading or we were entering QC data. This is just very, very skeletal, but you would be able to input information for various types of QC checks, and then those would be associated with a particular set of data. So that is planned for the third phase. And then the QA validation feature, that is something that I hope will work to allow individuals, so there's just so many small tribal agencies that don't have an independent QA function built in, because it's literally half a person doing air monitoring, as opposed to like Maricopa County or Clark County, Nevada, where they've got a QC department and then a QA department, and the QA department just reviews the QC department. Well, obviously, that isn't the case most of the time in Indian country. So if, say, a tribe in Oregon is monitoring and they know that they worked, say, with Daryl Wallach, and because I know Daryl has generously helped some tribes before, they could ask Daryl to review their data. And then Daryl could ask them to review their data. And there would be an independent review, and that would satisfy the 2 levels removed that a true QA reviewer should have. So that validation feature, and that's basically just going to be making sets of your data and your notes available to somebody else, and then a template report for them to say, yes, I reviewed it, it looks great, go. And then, of course, reporting to AirNow and AQS, and that's going to be a whole another interesting set of work. And then the final phase in the late spring, reports. So we'll have template reports for you, and then the public website. And on the public website, we'll only show whatever information you want to present to the public and whatever data you want to be available to the public, and that will be the final phase. That's a review of the progress we've made so far and the schedule for the future. So I'd love to hear any feedback now, or if you guys think of stuff later, just give me a call, send me an email, because one of the things that we need to do is we need to get this finished, of course, before the end of our grant cycle. But I don't want it to be so fast that we go too fast to enable you to give proper feedback.